The Abandoned Asylum. The Abandoned Asylum at Dead Man's Gulch loomed like a decaying monument to human suffering. Its once white walls were now streaked with grime and covered in ivy, and the shattered windows gaped like empty eye sockets for decades. It stood empty, a tomb for the lost souls that had once been imprisoned within its walls. Rumors persisted that the asylum was haunted, that the tormented spirits of the patients still roamed its dark corridors, driven mad by the cruel and inhumane treatments they had been subjected to. But whispers of something far more sinister, an ancient evil that fed on the suffering and despair that permeated the asylum, drew the attention of a team of paranormal investigators, determined to uncover the truth and document the haunted history of the asylum. The team ventured inside, armed with flashlights and cameras. They explored the decaying halls, their footsteps echoing through the empty wards. They are thick with the stench of mold and decay. As they delved deeper into the asylum, they began to experience strange and terrifying phenomena. Eerie cries and whispers seemed to emanate from the walls, and fleeting apparitions appeared in the corners of their vision. The spirits of the patients, it seemed, were still trapped within the asylum, unable to find peace in death. But as the team continued their investigation, they realized that something far more sinister was at work. The oppressive atmosphere within the asylum intensified, and a palpable sense of dread began to settle over them. They could feel a malevolent presence watching them from the shadows, a dark force that seemed to be growing stronger with each passing moment. As they made their way through the labyrinthine halls, they discovered the remnants of a secret chamber hidden deep within the asylum. Within it, they found evidence of unspeakable rituals and black magic, and they realized that the ancient evil they had sensed had been summoned by the asylum's twisted staff. The team knew that they had to find a way to banish the evil presence before it claimed them as its next victims. They began to search for any information that might help them, scouring the asylum's records and exploring its darkest corners. As they pieced together the horrifying truth, they discovered that the evil force could only be defeated by confronting it head-on in a desperate and terrifying confrontation. The team faced the ancient evil, their fear and determination fueling their resolve. They used their knowledge of the dark arts and the asylum's own tormented history to fight the demonic force, their voices raised in a chant that reverberated through the decaying halls. As the battle raged, the walls of the asylum seemed to shudder and groan, as if the very building itself was fighting against the darkness that had taken root within it. And as the final words of the chant echoed through the night, the ancient evil let out a blood-curdling scream. Vanquished at last, exhausted and shaken, the team emerged from the asylum. The darkness that had once consumed it now vanished. The spirits of the patients that had been trapped within its walls were finally able to find peace, their tortured souls released from their eternal prison. But the team knew that their work was far from over. The world was filled with dark and hidden corners, and they had dedicated their lives to shining a light into the darkness, to uncovering the truth that lurked behind the veil of fear and superstition. And as they walked away from the crumbling asylum, they knew that they would continue their quest, fighting against the darkness that threatened to consume the world. The Cursed Town. Dead Man's Gulch was a town with a grim history, whispered about by those who dared to speak of it. Death and destruction seemed to follow in its wake, and the few who still called it home were hardy. Haunted lot, nestled in the shadow of the mountains, the town had stood for generations, a dark stain on the landscape that refused to fade. When Jack and Evelyn, a young couple seeking a fresh start, moved to Dead Man's Gulch, they were initially charmed by its quiet, isolated nature, but they soon realized that the town's curse was not simply a product of local superstition. There was a pervasive sense of dread that hung over the town, a sinister undercurrent that seemed to seep into every nook and cranny. Determined to uncover the truth behind the curse, Jack and Evelyn delved into the town's dark history. They discovered that the town's founder, Ezekiel Blackwood, had made a terrible pact with an ancient evil in exchange for wealth and power. The evil entity had fed on the souls of the town's residents for generations, growing stronger with each passing year. As they learned more about the curse, Jack and Evelyn realized that they were not simply outsiders looking in. The ancient evil had taken notice of their investigations, and it was determined to add them to its long list of victims. The once quiet town seemed to come alive with malevolent intent as shadowy figures stalked them through the streets, and strange, terrifying events began to unfold. The couple knew that they had to find a way to break the curse and free the town from the grip of the ancient evil. They sought out the few remaining residents who still had knowledge of the dark pact, piecing together the fragments of lore and legend that held the key to their salvation. As the evil entity closed in on them, Jack and Evelyn raced against time to perform the ritual that would banish it forever. The town seemed to turn against them, its cursed history rising up to thwart their efforts at every turn. They fought against the darkness, their love for each other and their determination to save the town driving them forward. In a desperate, final confrontation, Jack and Evelyn faced the ancient evil in the heart of Dead Man's Gulch. They chanted the words of power that had been passed down through the generations, drawing on the strength of their love and their unwavering resolve to break the curse. As the ritual reached its climax, the ancient evil screamed in fury and despair, its dark presence ripped from the town and banished to the void from which it had come. The curse was broken, and Dead Man's Gulch began to heal from the wounds inflicted by centuries of darkness and suffering. Jack and Evelyn, battered but alive, knew that their work in Dead Man's Gulch was done. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, their love for each other stronger than ever. But they also knew that the world was a vast, mysterious place, filled with shadows and secrets that begged to be explored. Together they set out to forge a new life for themselves, seeking adventure and the unknown with the knowledge that love could conquer even the darkest of evils. And as they left the once cursed town behind, they carried with them the hope that they could bring light to the world's darkest corners, one small town at a time. The demon in the woods, in the airy dim heart of the forest bordering the ominous Dead Man's Gulch, where a primeval malevolence awoke. The breeze murmured amidst the gnarled boughs of age-old trees, bearing a frostiness that hinted at secrets long buried and slumbering darkness. Townspeople cautiously evaded the woods, particularly as twilight approached, oblivious to impending peril. Sixth, thrill-seeking college friends opted to camp in these woods for the weekend. Under the contorted canopy, they set up tents and ignited a robust bonfire to stave off encircling obscurity. As shadows deepened, the comrades encircled the blaze, exchanging anecdotes and mirth to fend off looming darkness. Yet, the wind bore unsettling whispers, and shadows appeared to inch nearer, tightening their hold on the camp. An omnipresent watchfulness haunted the friends, exacerbated by the unnatural quiet pervading the woods. Dismissing an unnerving growl as mere figments of their imagination, they attributed it to an excess of spectral yarns. However, they started vanishing individually. Seeking firewood was first to go frantic. The others scoured the area, their torches emitting feeble rays swallowed by the abyss. The shadowy demon roused, stalked its victims. Their mounting dread delighted, intoxicated it, strengthening it with each fleeting moment. Camaraderie crumbled, replaced by mistrust and apprehension. The friends huddled by the waning campfire, their last vestige of hope flickering, recognizing their worsening predicament. The remaining campers united to face the demon. They hunted relics and long-forgotten rites to expel the wicked entity to its origin. In their struggle for survival, the friends unearthed inner fortitude and resilience. A shared purpose bound them, determined to conquer darkness and rescue the lost. During a dramatic showdown, they confronted the demon, armed with newfound knowledge and unyielding friendship. The incensed, formidable demon lunged from shadows, desperate for its final quarry, chanting in unison. The friends resisted the darkness, hearts brimming with optimism and bravery. As dawn's first light pierced the trees, the demon released a defeated cry. Banished to slumber once more, battered but alive, the friends emerged from the woods, their bond reinforced. Their harrowing experience and the darkness faced would forever haunt them. However, they now knew that, against the darkest adversity, friendship's light and hope would vanquish even the most primordial, potent evils. The ghost miner's revenge. The air inside the mine was thick and oppressive, the stench of decay and rust overwhelming. The only sound was the rhythmic drip of water, echoing off the walls like a haunting melody. The teenagers huddled together, their flashlights barely illuminating the path ahead. As they moved deeper into the mine, the air grew colder, and the darkness seemed to close in on them. They couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of being followed by something sinister and malevolent. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the silence, causing the group to freeze in terror. It was then that they saw him, the ghostly figure of a miner, his eyes blazing with fury and vengeance. The ghost miner was no ordinary spirit. He was hell-bent on revenge, seeking to punish anyone who dared to trespass in his domain. His voice echoed through the cavern, a guttural growl that sent chills down the spines of the teenagers. "You have desecrated my home," he hissed. "Now you will suffer the consequences." The group tried to run, but the ghost miner was relentless, pursuing them with a ferocity that defied explanation. They stumbled through the dark, tripping over rocks and debris, their hearts pounding with fear. One by one the teenagers fell, their bodies torn apart by the ghost miner's wrath. The last survivor, a boy named Jack, managed to escape the mine, his clothes torn and his body battered. But even as he stumbled out into the sunlight, he knew that he was not safe. The ghost miner had not been vanquished, and his thirst for revenge would never be sated. As Jack ran for his life, he could hear the ghost miner's laughter echoing in his ears, a macabre reminder of the horror he had witnessed in Dead Man's Gulch from that day on. He would never forget the terror that had consumed him and his friends in the abandoned mine. He knew that he had to warn others of the curse that haunted the mine, to prevent anyone else from suffering the same fate as his friends. But as he made his way back to town, Jack realized that the ghost miner's influence extended far beyond the mine. The people in the town were different, colder, more distant. The streets were emptier, and the air was thick with an eerie silence. It wasn't long before Jack realized that the ghost miner had followed him back to town, his presence infecting everything and everyone around him. Jack was consumed with fear and dread, knowing that the ghost miner would stop at nothing to exact his revenge on anyone who crossed his path. The days turned into weeks, and Jack watched in horror as the town slowly crumbled under the ghost miner's influence. Buildings crumbled, crops withered, and people disappeared without a trace. Jack knew that he was the only one who could stop the ghost miner, but he was powerless against the evil that consumed him. In a desperate attempt to stop the curse, Jack returned to the mine, hoping to find a way to break the ghost miner's hold on the town. But as he descended into the depths of the mine, he realized that he was too late. The ghost miner had already claimed him, and there was no escape from his revenge. In the end, Jack joined the countless others who had fallen victim to the curse of Dead Man's Gulch, his body forever trapped in the mine, his soul claimed by the vengeful spirit of the ghost miner. The town was left to crumble into dust, a ghostly reminder of the horrors that lurked in the shadows. And as the years passed, the legend of the ghost miner grew, a cautionary tale to warn others of the dangers that lay hidden in the darkness. The haunted hotel. Amidst the quiet of Blackstone, the hotel at Dead Man's Gulch cast an ominous shadow. A ghostly figure shrouded by the deep red hues of twilight, worn by the hands of time. The once proud Victorian facade lay scarred, battered by relentless winds that tore at its peeling, flaking paint. Yet the dilapidated structure irresistibly beckoned the adventurous and brazen. Newlywed thrill-seekers Jenna and Brad embarked on a cross-country escapade, lured by whispers of the spectral hotel. As enthusiasts of the macabre, they resolved to dwell within its haunting walls for a night. The lobby's musty air, thick with decay, greeted them, an imperceptible sway of the chandelier above its crystal shards casting twisted shadows on time-worn wallpaper. A stooped elderly innkeeper, his brow furrowed, met their arrival. "You sure you want to stay here? Most folks prefer the motel down the road," he advised, but their eager expressions remained resolute. Relenting with a sigh, he proffered a tarnished brass key. "Room 237, he murmured, as an icy gust drifted through the gloomy lobby, ascending the groaning staircase, footsteps reverberating. Jenna and Brad navigated dim corridors. The air-chilled shadows deepened as they neared room 237. Jenna shuddered, dismissing it as fancy. Within, Brad discovered a dusty, leather-bound journal. Compelled, he recited its cryptic accounts, a hotel shrouded in malevolence, the setting for gruesome rituals and unspeakable deeds. Here, sinister cult once congregated, invoking ancient evils and sacrificing those who trespassed their domain. As the room's temperature plummeted, an ominous presence enveloped them. Fear coiled in their bellies, unseen hands raising the hairs on their necks as the very walls constricted, shadows writhing menacingly. A disembodied wail pierced the hotel's silence, followed by spectral footsteps, clutching each other, hearts thundering. The couple sensed they were not alone. Encounters with the hotel's tormented spirits ensued. A lamenting woman in ragged attire, a phantom figure suspended from a noose, and the spine-chilling laughter of invisible children. These souls were not the true menace, ever stirred by the couple's presence. A malevolent entity awoke in the hotel's bowels, slithering through shadows, a primordial darkness hungering for fresh victims. The cult's dark legacy endured, and Jenna and Brad had unwittingly summoned its wrath. Trapped, their frantic efforts to flee forward by locked doors and shifting passageways, they succumbed to despair. Love and resolve pushed to breaking point as they battled the hotel's insidious grasp. In a last-ditch struggle, the couple confronted the ancient evil. United against the encroaching darkness, they wielded love and arcane knowledge gleaned from the dusty journal. As the entity threatened to consume them, they pronounced the words that would cast it into the abyss. The hotel at Dead Man's Gulch shuddered, its foundations groaning as the evil was vanquished. The restless spirits found peace. The darkness retreated gently, departing. They could not dispel the disquiet that gnawed at them. The hotel harbored a hidden malevolence that defied eradication. New stories of terror rose, tales of vanished souls who dared to enter, haunted by the knowledge that darkness prevailed. They pledged to return, determined to see the hotel's evil purge. Their quest was far from over, and they vowed not to rest until the hotel's wickedness was extinguished once and for all. For now, ever they pressed on, bound by love and their shared purpose. A winding road stretched before them, its path shrouded in uncertainty, but they traversed it side by side, hand in hand, prepared to confront the lurking shadows that awaited them. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, the hotel at Dead Man's Gulch stood in silence, observing and anticipating the arrival of the next unsuspecting souls who dared to breach its ominous threshold.